Alright, for today's lesson, we are going to be learning about density. And density is a physical property of matter that is defined as its mass compared to its volume. So every object has a mass, so you have vegetable oil here and then just a glass of ordinary water. And you can see that these also have a volume. So this vegetable oil, when it was full, has a volume of 3 liters, and that is the space that it occupies. And then this glass of water also has a certain volume. And the density of both of these objects, or both of these fluids, is the ratio between their mass, so how much they weigh. The water, for example, could weigh 200 grams compared to its volume, which could be 200 milliliters. So what I'm going to show you is how two fluids of different densities react when they are mixed. So to start, I'm going to grab my glass of water and put a couple drops of food dye into it. Okay, and then I'm just going to stir that up so we can have a nice little red color in there. And then I'm going to pour some of the vegetable oil into the glass of water. And the reason I put the red dye in there is to show a distinct difference between the two fluids. So watch as I put a decent amount of oil in there. We'll give that some time to settle and then see what happens. You can see a lot of bubbles. That's just the air bubbles from pouring it pretty quickly. And as it's settling, you can see that there's a clear layer of oil, and then all of the water is right below it. So that's pretty cool. It's almost unsettling now. The air bubbles are going away and all the oil has risen to the top. So these two fluids are immiscible, which means they do not mix. And the reason the oil is sitting on top is because it is less dense than water, which means in the same volume it would weigh less. It would have a lower mass. So I'm going to put this aside for now. And then I'm going to bring in a new glass of water. And I have here an ice cube as well. So, typically solids are more dense than liquids. So from what we just saw, what do you think would happen when I put this ice cube into this glass of water? Well, from what we just saw, it should sink to the bottom. But we're going to go ahead and see what happens. Look at that, it floats. So I know we've all probably put an ice cube into a glass of water and noticed that it floats. But if solids are supposed to be more dense than liquids, why is the ice cube floating in the water? So that's a good question. And actually, not all liquids are less dense than their solid counterparts. So water is one of the examples of that in nature, where when liquid water freezes, it actually becomes less dense in the solid state. That's pretty cool there. And then we'll go back side by side. We have the different density objects separated with the less dense object on top.